What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another video. It's Monday, it's time for another mock draft Monday. We have done drafts so far, 6 of them, 6 mock draft Mondays already from the 2, 5, 6, 7, 10, and 12 spots. So any spot that is not one of those, that's what we're going to do. First, oh my goodness, we have grabbed the 101. 101 for this week. We've done half PPR, we've done full PPR, all that stuff, but it's been a while since we just did a normal half PPR 12-team league. It's actually been since the very first one we did. So it's been 5 weeks in a row. We have not done that. We've done some super flex, some full PPR stuff, 10-team leagues. So we're going to do 12-team, half PPR, a very common setup. And I'm going to leave everything here the same. 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. That is a very, 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 very common half PPR build. We are going to keep in composite ADP. I think I always, from this point on, want to keep that in as sites are getting a few more drafts, because basically at this point, we're at what, June 20th, you guys, 19th for me. At this point, every single week is going to get sharper and sharper and sharper with the ADPs on different sites. Every week, more and more people are submitting their rankings, so the rankings are going to continue to update. I think we want a mixture of both the expert rankings and composite ADPs. Let's play around with positional values. I say we go with maybe high for running back. And why don't we do like a high to very high for quarterback? We'll leave everything else the same. I think that's a common thing that'll happen in half PPR leagues. People are like, oh, I love wide receivers, but well, I'm not starting my draft off with 4 of them because it's half PPR. Grab their running backs. They grab their quarterbacks, because that'll definitely happen in leagues this season. I think this is a good setup for us today. I'll pull up my half PPR rankings for me on the left, but as you guys know, we don't always refer to the rankings on these. All right. Now, I was going to say we're going to pull up the draft board and see who went. No one went because it is only us. We'll pull that up for a little bit. Keep it there. So, no real decision points. I think it's very clear, especially in half PPR scoring. You could argue, maybe make the argument in full PPR to go with, in standard, it's easy. In full PPR, maybe you go with McCaffrey, maybe you go with Cooper Kupp. I really just don't see, like, if you grab the 101, just take Jonathan Taylor. Accept that, roll with that. There's just nothing really for us to say there. What we can talk about is different things that you can do now that you have Jonathan Taylor. So we'll go over who went. Whoa, it's like symmetric here. That's interesting. We'll go over who I took, but keep that in mind that we have some different unique options to how we want to build this out. So the first round, we see 2 running backs and a wide receiver go, like 3 consecutive times. Eckler, McCaffrey, then Cooper Kupp. Dalvin Cook, Henry, then Jamar Chase. Mixon, Kamara, then Jefferson. And then Najee Harris and Chubb end off the first round. Henry will probably mostly go ahead of Dalvin Cook. I think wide receivers make sense here. I think everything kind of makes sense. Maybe Najee moves up a little bit earlier, but the report came out, Najee, they want to limit his snaps by about 100. Not his touches, his snaps. I believe he had, off the top of my head, around 280, 281 touches last season. I have him projected for around 380, 381. I have projected around 370, 371. Like, I'm basically dropping him by like 10 touches. Still going to be a touch monster, but I do think he'll get slightly less than last season. But this is actually exactly where I have him ranked. I think I have him 8th, 5, 7, 8. Now he's actually went 10th here, but I have him 8th running back off the board, late first round. That makes complete sense. As we work into the second round, only 1 tight end, so Kelsey goes being second round. We see Mahomes and Josh Allen go late second round. 3 more wide receivers to the 3 teams that drafted wide receiver in the first round. So we got 3 different teams starting off RB0. We've got a Justin Jefferson and Adams team, a Chase Lamb team, Cooper Kupp Diggs team. And then we've got 5 teams that double dipped at running back. Their second running backs being Swift, Zeke, Fournette, Aaron Jones, and Barkley. I would imagine Aaron Jones goes with like Swift here in this late second round, before Zeke, before Fournette. And then Barkley, I would also imagine, goes before these two, though you could definitely argue that there are a lot of people who simply will not draft Saquon Barkley because of how much he's burned people, and so that makes sense. So, a pretty typical first 2 rounds. Our options. We can double dip at running back, But I would recommend, if you're in this spot, I would only double dip basically if all the running backs were on the board right now. If these guys are still there, then we can consider it. I don't know the value of double dipping for, like, maybe for Jameson Williams. He is a very good talent. But for Williams, Connor, Montgomery, Akers, it's like, I don't think we need to double dip. So honestly, I don't think we're going to take another running back here. We can start off with the potential of a hero RB build, which is basically we take our running back, that's our hero. We're going to load out other positions in these like early middle rounds. Then we're going to go back to running back, not necessarily like a full RB0, like, oh, we're waiting until like round 10, though it's possible we could do that. But wait until, you know, we see a really, really nice value in this middle section and take some other positions so we can still load out other positions like an RB0, but we, you know, center that around Jonathan Taylor because we know he's going to be fantastic. All we need to do is find one other running back. We can figure that out at some point. Don't need to do it right now. Definitely not going to take quarterback either because the top two are off the board. So no quarterback, no running back. At wide receiver, we've got Deebo Samuel. We've got Mike Evans. I think those are pretty clearly the top two. I can look at exactly where my rankings have them. So we have Evans and Deebo back-to-back, 25th and 26th. We are picking at 24 and 25. So not like huge values for those two, though obviously this is where I have them ranked. They're definitely good picks. I think that it would be just like this horrendous mistake if you don't take Mark Andrews at this spot. You've started off with a stud at one position, and you have the opportunity to draft someone who I have seen people take Andrews over Kelsey. Now, we did the video, I wouldn't do that, but we're getting incredible value with Mark Andrews here. He, like, not necessarily from like a rankings value, but a value in what he can do to your team. Starting off with Taylor, grabbing Andrews, we're the number one potentially at two different spots. And now we can still go back to wide receiver, still grab a stud that we feel great about as our one, still grab a great quarterback in the middle rounds. Like, we're building a very, very strong team. Definitely at this point, not looking wide receiver. And if we said we're not really looking quarterback, or not looking tight end, not looking running back, not looking quarterback, we're just going to take our favorite wide receiver. I actually did skip over Tyreek Hill before. I think there's merit to basically all of them. I have them all projected very, very, very close to each other. I mean, they're all within like one touchdown scored. So you would really just take which one you feel best about at this spot. None of them are going to be available at our next pick, so it doesn't really matter. If you really wanted to, you could look at bye weeks. I don't actually have the bye week up there for those teams. See Lamar, bye week 10. If you really wanted to use that, but then that's not even a factor there. Who do I feel best about? I feel like I would want someone with the highest ceiling for this one because I'm so locked into those other two. Deebo was the number 2 total wide receiver last season, so that kind of plays into the ceiling aspect. Yeah, I would just take the one you feel the most comfortable with. They're definitely going to get a deal done, so I would not worry about. There's no chance Deebo gets traded. There's no chance that they go, oh, well, we're not paying him enough. Like, they're going to be using him heavily in this offense. Again, take the one you feel best about. I'll just take Deebo in this one, but it literally doesn't matter. I mean, they all have the exact same projection. It's just who you feel comfortable drafting. Next up. Okay. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I feel better about Tyreek Hill. Again, I don't care. Whatever you're feeling in that pick, it doesn't matter. In the third round, I think they're all good picks in the third round. I think Deebo's ADP typically is closer. I included him in like the Elite Players Open Draft video. I believe his ADP is usually in this range. If you're getting him in the third, well, that's obviously a much, much better value. And it is like right in line with my rankings. Yeah, my rankings have him 26. We got him at 25. There you go. Perfect. In this next round, we saw a lot of wide receivers come off the board. Hill, Evans, Hopkins, Metcalf, Brown, Allen in the third. Waddle, Higgins, McLaurin, and Deontay. So definitely good we grabbed one wide receiver there. Not a ton of running backs, but the running backs you'd expect. Connor, Jameson Williams, Gibson, earlier than Gibson usually goes. Akers, Jacobs, Montgomery, Clyde, then Dobbins, and then Chris Carson. That is way earlier than he should be going. Two quarterbacks come off the board. We're not going to draft a quarterback here. Justin Herbert and Lamar Jackson. We probably would have considered Herbert, but nope. And then Waller, obviously, we're not looking at tight end, but he goes off the board as well. Pull up the rosters there. Pull up the draft board. There is no decision here in my mind. Michael Pittman Jr. is an absolute stud. He is someone we feel very confident in this season. I see no argument to not drafting him here. I don't even care what the running backs are on the board. Draft Michael Pittman Jr. You're going to be happy with that pick. We'll double dip maybe, but that's just such a clear value. I don't even know. I have him at 39. Just got him at 30 or at 48. So fantastic pick there. Now, okay, we have our team on the left: Debo, Michael Pittman Jr., Mark Andrews, Jonathan Taylor. Very, very good start. We can definitely consider going back to running back here, locking in 2 we feel good about, and then waiting a long time to kind of take number 3. Definitely an option. I think it comes down to what we think will be their next pick. That is something that's difficult with these drafts because obviously you have 11 people and then 11 people. So there's like 22 picks. Hopefully I did that math right. 22 picks that will be going by for our next option here. I don't want that one. I want this right here. So if we're looking 22, I mean, we're looking in the range that's around like 70. Like we're kind of looking like down here for the projection. And we're looking at maybe like this kind of range for wide receivers and running backs. And so we can ask ourselves, which would be riskier? I love this Breece Hall, Mitchell, Etienne, AJ Dillon, Miles Sanders range. I would say those 5 running backs, and I guess it's 6 when you throw in Harris for here. These 6 running backs. For wide receivers, I love Moore, Cooper, Cook, Sutton, Mike Williams, Mooney, Tierbray. So it's again the same situation. Now, a dream start with us would be to like take one of these running backs and then one of those wide receivers I just mentioned still being on the board. Mooney's probably the most likely, but that would be unbelievable if that could end up happening. It's unlikely that it'll happen. And I'm wondering if instead we should like take this, what looks like a really good value on DJ Moore. DJ Moore I have it 50. So he's actually like right on the money there. Sutton actually a little bit before him. I don't know which is more likely to happen, but I'd really like one of each. It's just, do I think Miles Sanders is there or do I think one of these wide receivers is there? My gut is telling me that the wide receiver is more likely to still be on the board. And since we already have Debo and Pittman, I think we can afford to take a little bit more risk there. But boy, would that be a good start. Take a running back and then dip with a wide receiver and then one of these quarterbacks at what would be the early 7th round. That would be really nice. Okay, let's take our top running back. I'll sort by running back in the rankings because we're getting to the point where it's, I guess, harder to see, especially when the mic is all in the way. But it's Etienne and then Breece Hall in the rankings, and then Mitchell a little bit after that, and then AJ Dillon. So close to what they have. We have Etienne first. Yeah, I think that's the best way to go. Let's pray someone like Mike Williams is still on the board, but we shall see. It looks like Mike Williams is still going to be there, and oh man, it looks like we got a good start here. Okay, actually Sutton just went off the board too, so we almost got like screwed there. So we take Etienne. Kittle and Pitts come off the board. A bunch of quarterbacks come off the board. Kyler, Dak, Joe Burrow, Wilson, and Aaron Rodgers. We see a good amount of running backs, but not that many. Mitchell, Hall, Dillon, all the ones we figured would come off the board. And then also Tony Pollard. Then we see a lot of wide receivers. Allen Robinson, Godwin, Cooper, Woods. That's early for Woods. I like Woods this season, but that's earlier than he usually goes. Elijah Moore, Michael Thomas, DJ Moore. That was a really good value if I ever got him. Cooks, Julio, way earlier than he's going to go. Lockett, and then Sutton. Okay. So, dream scenario for us. Mike Williams still on the board. I don't care what else is there at other positions. You're taking Mike Williams at this spot. You're not even going to hesitate at that. So our lineup: Jonathan Taylor, Travis Etienne, Debo, Pittman, Mark Andrews, Mike Williams. In love with that start. No tight end. We could go with Mooney here, but I think that, like, given our other positions, it would be like a marginal return kind of thing where we're taking our fourth before we take our quarterback, before we take our third running back, in a format that isn't leaning as much towards wide receiver as PPR. So we're not going to do that. We're not going to end up getting him. I love him, but we're not going to end up getting him. We have the opportunity to grab Miles Sanders here. That would grab a third running back we feel very confident in, and that's after already starting off with Taylor. And so we wouldn't need to look as much in this range. But Jalen Hurts is also on the board. And I think the sharper move, I want to see who I have actually between those two. I have the running back rankings up right now, so I'll have to pull up the other rankings. Sanders at 40, so a huge value for Sanders right now. Hurts at 47, so technically Hurts would be after him. But I see a very, very clear teardrop. I mean, we could still be in love with our team taking like Brady, Stafford, all these guys. But what it does for our starting lineup, I think the potential for Jalen Hurts here is just through the moon. And if we can have, Hurts has a top 3 ceiling. And if he hits that ceiling, with Andrews hitting his ceiling, and Taylor hitting his ceiling, and these wide receivers producing as well as I think, your starting lineup is just unreachable. And I feel like we're better off saying we got our 2 running backs we like. We'll abandon running back for one more round. We know we're not going to get Sanders. We know we're not going to probably not get Chase Edmonds, although that would be a dream as well. But it's to solidify this starting lineup that we feel very, very confident in. So a ton of wide receivers do look like they come off the board. And Sanders, Kenneth Walk, oh man, right before us. We almost got real good picks there. That whole round though. So in that 7th round after us, only James Robinson too early there, and Patterson, that makes sense. In that round, we see Bateman, Judy, Thielen, Ayuk, Marquise Brown, Juju, Claypool, Mooney go. Great value from this team's getting real good value. This Stafford F-150. What's this team at? Najee Harris, Swift, Cam Akers. So they've locked in running backs. They have Joe Burrow at quarterback stacked with T. Higgins, and then DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, Gabriel Davis. That's a pretty good start. It's a pretty good team. Then the next round, running backs kind of come off again. Kareem Hunt. Then Sanders unfortunately goes. Henderson. Gaskin. What is this team doing? I wonder if this is working off of someone's rankings and it's someone who has no idea what they're doing. But this same team has drafted Carson, James Robinson, and Gaskin. Like, this isn't, 2021. This is literally like a 2021 team that they're drafting. Now, they have McCaffrey and Patrick Mahomes, so that might end up making up for it, and Tyreek Hill. But I feel like this team is pulling from someone's rankings that has no idea what they're doing. All right, and then Kenneth Walker goes after that. So it looks like we'll have the opportunity to draft. Damian Harris is a huge value right now. Even though I haven't been drafting him, Harris is a huge value, and Chase Edmonds is a nice value. We're not going quarterback. We're not going tight end, even though, Schultz is also a nice. Schultz is also a nice value. And Renfro would be a good pick here. Drake London would be a good pick here. But I don't think they're good enough picks to what we can do at running back now. If we can take Harris, we can take Chase Edmonds. Now we no longer, running back might not even be our weakest position. I think you double dip. I think you take Harris at a value, you take Chase Edmonds at a value, and man, this is a really, really, I'm comfortable with this team because there's nothing that we're lacking at this point. We don't need to go back to quarterback unless we really want to later on. Same exact thing for tight end. Debo, Pittman, Mike Williams. I guess that's the spot that we're weakest at now, but I mean, that high end is so good. And then Taylor Etienne, Damian Harris, Chase Edmonds. So I definitely want to take at least one wide receiver here. Notable names that come off the board after our pick, Hawkinson and Goddard. No quarterbacks, so that's interesting. You're getting really nice value here if you'd waited for quarterback. James Cook goes. Mostert goes too early. Sermon? What? Sermon goes. I wonder if they're pulling from weird rankings here. Or maybe ESPN just has awful rankings at this point of the season. Some wide receivers that we definitely wanted, though, unfortunately, come off the board. London we wanted. Galladay we wanted. Renfro we wanted. Lazard we would want. Christian Kirk we would want. So that's unfortunate, especially in a round that we were going to draft wide receiver in. But we love Gage. I like Wilson. We like Tony. Olave is a good pick. MVS has been climbing up boards. I've talked about how I don't love him in a season-long format, so I'm not going to go there. Sky Moore would be a good pick. We're going to wait and probably get Jahan Dotson. Okay. But I think Gage is very clearly the top wide receiver on the board right now. And then I would probably say Tony. I'll pull up wide receiver rankings. I don't know between Garrett Wilson, Olave, and Tony. My guess is that I have Tony first. Let's see. So it goes Kirk, then Tony. Yeah. Then Wilson, then Olave. Which I think kind of makes sense there. But I think it would be smart for us. Grab Tony. This is a very common thing. I'll talk about this for a second. In turn picks, I guess you could call that 11, 12, or 1, 2. But especially at 1 and 12, you're going to see a lot of double dipping. And it's a very, very common strategy and a very, very good strategy, especially later on. We got to this spot and we were like, okay, we're a little weak at running back. We haven't done that a while. Let's double dip. Let's take 2 that we feel really good about. Now we have 4. We go back wide receiver. Okay, well now wide receiver we're a little thin. Double dip. Take Gage and Tony. And so you're getting 2 people in a range that you feel good about, that you can really help at a position. And we go from only having, Debo, Pittman, Mike Williams, and also having Gage and Tony. And it's just like immediately you're good at that spot. And so very common strategy that you can use at these turn picks is seeing if you can hold off and then double dipping at that spot. Of course, early on, it's not as important because you're not really, you're lacking at everything. So you should be getting like different positions, but it's more of a thing that you'll do later on in draft. So how many picks do we have left? We only have 4 picks left. We did enable defenses. We have the option of grabbing backups. I would say because we drafted Mark Andrews, we don't need a backup tight end. I feel like that's more of a thing we talked about in the strategy video. You can definitely draft 2 tight ends when you draft some of these middle round guys. Maybe you don't feel comfortable with Pitts, or like Kittle's always hurt, so maybe you don't want that. But if you drafted Mark Andrews in the 2nd round, like you're doing that kind of gaining that extra pick later on. So we're not going to do that. And I feel good enough about Hurts. I also feel like, I don't know, if we really wanted to draft Trey Lance here, thinking that he's going to be very good this season, and maybe someone's going to want to trade for him, that's fine for us to do. So you could definitely do that. But it seems like if he's available, like if you're in a draft where he's kind of available still at this spot, and no one's really drafting a bunch of them, it means free agency is going to be fine. So you don't need to do it. But Trey Lance is honestly an option for us at this pick. At running back, we're in the gross range. It's kind of the guys that I've talked about as solid late picks. Honestly, Hines wouldn't be bad, but I don't really want to draft one on the team that had Jonathan Taylor, so I won't go there. Spiller wouldn't be bad as like a pure handcuff pick, but I would probably lean towards like Darrell Williams and Zamir White down here. The likelihood is for Zamir White this season, you're not going to have to take him until the last round, so maybe we save that pick for Zamir White. Well, the last round can be defense, but honestly, like second last round, we can also just do defense and then do Zamir White. So we do that. We do 2 picks now, then Zamir White. Well, actually, it'll be a turn pick, so we don't have to. It doesn't really matter which one we take. We'll do Zamir White in the defense in the last 2. For these 2, we should probably split. Running back, wide receiver. I feel like 6 wide receivers for us in this format is probably enough, especially given how confident we are in the top 3. So definitely one of these picks needs to be a wide receiver. Myers is fine, but not in love with that. I would say, since we feel good about our team, Jameson Williams is a good pick, but I would say Dotson. He's tearing up camp. He was a first-round talent. McLaurin still doesn't have that contract situation resolved, which he's going to. But, you know, definitely a rapport being built between Wentz and Dotson right now. He's good. Dotson's good. I wasn't sure about him early in the offseason. I'm like all in at this point. So Dotson, really good pick there. I'm wondering do we think Taylor, Etienne, Damian Harris, Chase Edmonds, Zamir White just going with 5? I feel like that's enough because we're assuming Taylor's going to work out. Like if Taylor tears his ACL in week 2, we're probably losing this league anyways. I mean, we could probably get by with Etienne and Edmonds and Harris, but it's definitely going to hurt. I think we can make playoffs with this team if everything else works out, but we're assuming he does well. And if he does well, grabbing 2 more running backs actually probably doesn't matter for us. So I think we should actually just take another. Honestly, I actually do think Trey Lance would be a better pick, because even at wide receiver, the odds that after Debo, Pittman, Mike Williams, that we're consistently starting someone after even Cage, Tony, and Dotson, those we're consistently starting a Jameson Williams, which would be the pick here, is pretty slim. You have a better chance that Trey Lance really works out and that you can trade him, or Trey Lance just works out to be better than Jalen Hurts. And so that's actually probably a better pick. Then we'll take Zamir White and a defense, and we'll call it a day. We better get a good grade on this team. There's 0% chance that the system should be giving us a bad grade. It'll dock us for the Zamir White pick. It'll hate that, but we should be getting a phenomenal grade. At this one, it's Chargers, right? That's the defense we like. Games, Raiders, Chiefs. I do this literally every time. That Jacksonville, Houston, Cleveland stretch is phenomenal, and Chargers have the best defense in the NFL. I can never remember which one it is between Denver. Yeah, it's probably Denver, because you get to open against Seattle and then Houston. But honestly, what if Seattle got, well, I guess Baker, but at Seattle is also a tough place to play. Ooh, and they'll be hyped playing against Wilson. Honestly, I feel like the play would actually be Chargers. They're a phenomenal defense. They can do fine against the Raiders at Kansas City, and then they get Jacksonville, Houston, Cleveland. That's a really, really nice stretch. So we'll just take them, which is another thing we get docked on. If we were going for the grade, we probably should have taken Denver. Yeah, we definitely deserved a good grade in this draft. I wonder if we would have gotten a 98 or something if we took not Zamir White and Chargers there. But anyways, who cares about the grade? It's completely irrelevant. Our team, starting lineup: Jalen Hurts, Jonathan Taylor, Travis Etienne, Deebo Samuel, Michael Pittman Jr., Mark Andrews, Mike Williams. Chargers defense: bench, Damian Harris, Chase Edmonds, Russell Gage, Kadarius Toney, Jahan Dotson, Trey Lance, and Zamir White. There's really, this feels like a dream outcome for us, which, is going to happen to some of you. If you want to just print off the rankings and go to your, especially in-person hometown leagues, things like this are going to happen. And I think 2 kind of important things happened for us in this draft. It was getting these headliners of Mark Andrews and Jalen Hurts. Now, could I still have drafted Thielen instead of Hurts here and been really rock solid wide receivers and then stuck with Trey Lance here? Absolutely. But something that I found, especially in hometown leagues, is if you can lock up this elite tight end, elite quarterback, those are things you kind of can't acquire during the season. You're probably still going to get solid value at these skill positions late, and you still have opportunities early to where it's oftentimes beneficial to you. Lock up that tight end, lock up that quarterback, build around that, and you're still going to have really solid teams, because you'll be in a hometown league half the time and it's 7th round and everyone's oh, no good players left, and you're what? There are 50 that I really, really want on my team right now. But everyone knows the elite, tight ends and stuff, and it's no one's trading you Mark Andrews or Kelsey during the season. So if you can get them late 2nd round, that'll be beneficial. So that was the end of this one. We're going to go live tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, to do an Underdog draft and answer any questions you guys have So come to that with questions. Wednesday, I believe, will be early round draft strategy. I'm not 100% sure, but it'll be a draft strategy video. And then Thursday will be a breakdown. I don't believe, I can pull up the schedule here actually. Oh, right now, tell me in this video, for like the 4 of you who are still listening to me at this point, right now I have Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, and Swift as the Thursday breakdown. If you want to see that, let me know. I will keep it. If not, if there's something else you're dying to see for the breakdown at the running back position, let me know. But I think that will be an important one for us to do because I have no idea. I have them all projected within literally like a point, like a singular point. And it's difficult like understanding who to take there. And it's a pretty important decision in the late first round. So let me know if you guys want to see that one. If not, tell me what to do at running back. That, my friends, is the end of this one. Hope you all enjoyed. If you did, how about hitting the like button? How about subscribing to the channel if you're new here? Thanks for watching.